Welcome to the Whole Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you become a fat burner, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey everyone, it's Debbie Potts, the host of the Whole Athlete Podcast. And today we're going to talk about one of the 8 elements of the holistic method is nutrition. And we always talk about, digestion and nutrient absorption and low carb, high fat keto, but a lot of people don't get how to eat or how to cook food or what's good to eat. So today we're going to talk about how to cook good, healthy keto, low carb, high fat meals for you. And I met online Mr. Select Savory Seasonings, Cory, and you are the founder of a bunch of different avenues in the keto world. So let's talk about you on your purpose, passion, and how you're creating impact.
Sure. My whole life, I've actually struggled with my weight, and I've finally, it was Thanksgiving Day, it's like, okay, I need to stick to living keto for the rest of my life, for my health, my family's sake, for my kids' sake, my grandkids' sake. And long story short, I love to cook, I love to eat, I love to cook, and specifically one of my hobbies is barbecuing and smoking meats. And in years past, I'd go to the store, buy a rub, and if you ever read a nutrition label on a rub, it'll say 0 carbs and 0 sugar. But you read the nutrition label, and the first ingredient is sugar. And I would say, well, it says, there is none on the nutrition. It must not affect me, and never thought of it. And then finally this winter, I was at the store, and I did the same thing, except I went, no, wait a minute, it's got sugar in it. I can't have this. I need to do something else. I'm not the only person that wants to eliminate sugar and live healthy. And that's what actually Select Savory Seasonings came from, to supply people with gourmet, fresh, sugar-free, additive-free rubs and spices for health reasons, but also to add variety to their meals. One of the complaints that I hear a lot is, well, it's keto is dull. It's bacon and eggs and nothing else. It's just all this hamburger, and there's no variety. And I cooked a couple of hamburgers the other day. I put a different spice on each one, and guess what? I had variety. They tasted completely different just by changing what was on them. And along with that, I also started Creative Keto Cook to help show people how to eat and live keto. By putting together recipes, I try to keep them as simple as possible. I know there's lots of people out there that have these just elaborate, they're tasty, they're great, and yet how many people have the time to really do that? I want to keep it as simple as possible. Stick with the KISS method on cooking and teaching and helping people get as healthy as possible with a keto lifestyle.
So go back to how you got involved in being in keto and changing what you eat. What was your journey to making that switch to whatever you're eating before, and weight loss stories? Yep. I think a lot of people look at keto for I know clients are hearing about keto to lose weight, but there's health benefits. So talk about your journey into switching your plan.
My initial entry into keto was weight loss. Actually, backing up, I did variations of Atkins low carb off and on most of my life. I've been as heavy as 280 pounds. I've been as low as 190. And I got back up and down. And I finally, again, for my own sake, realized, okay, weight loss is a benefit of keto that I need to take advantage of. But as I like to say, keto, join because of the weight loss, stick around for the reduced inflammation, the lack of diabetes, helping with degenerative diseases, staying healthy, growing old. It's all of the other health benefits that really are the reasons I'm sticking to it now. I'm even talking to my dad. He's 65. He is overweight. He knows it. He knows he needs to do something about it. But it's not the weight loss that he's doing it for. He's doing it because he doesn't want to get type 2 diabetes. He doesn't want to deal with dementia or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. He's doing it for his health. And when he finally stuck to it, he got 2 weeks in, he calls me up. He's like, I haven't lost much weight, but I'm sleeping a whole lot better. I'm not taking naps. Mm-hmm.
And
he's now saying, okay, send me all the information on the health benefits of this. And if I lose weight, it's a great byproduct. But it's all the extras that really, the same with me. My knees don't hurt. My back doesn't hurt. I can run around with my kids. I can go for a hike. Now, I still have, unfortunately, the mindset sometimes of, I'm tired. Well, no, I'm not tired. I've just, there's that mindset you still have to work through with it. But I tell people, I feel so much better if I never lose another pound in my life. I don't care. That's how much better I feel.
That's what I've been talking a lot lately about, what is health and defining health. And, we talk about my taglines, burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance. But, you got to go, what is even being healthy? And as I was sharing before we started, I was on a podcast about body image, self-esteem, and for athletes and eating disorders. And it's like, wait, well, how do we define health as how we look? Are we lean, fit, and strong and athletic? Or, because I was at Ironman Hawaii, for example, you see all these elite athletes and they're just, all different sizes, but you wonder how healthy are you inside because you're doing that excessive cardio. So point is, changing what you're eating is a really essential part of being healthy to reduce, as you said, the benefits for inflammation. And what we keep reading about and learning more is about gut health equals brain health. So every one signal your brain tells your gut sends 7 signals, and leaky gut is leaky brain. And there's so much great information out there that should be a motivator for people to change what they eat. But it's challenging. So talk about, before we're getting to the keto chef part, but I just love hearing stories as yourself, that big success stories, because it's hard to stick with it. So what works for you to stick with eating that new way?
For me, it comes down to mindset. In the past, it was always a diet, and my focus was always on losing weight. And inevitably, it was a holiday because most of my family, immediate family and extended family, doesn't live near me, so I go home for the holidays, and then it turns into a hollow week, then it turns into a hollow month, and then 4 years later, I put 50 pounds back on, and it just really has to do with the mindset. I like, I forget the gentleman's name, but he wrote the book, Start With Why. Why do you want what you want? Why do I want to lose weight? Well, in my case, it's changed. It's not why do I want to lose weight. It's why do I want to be healthy? Why do I want to be keto? Why? Again, the reduced inflammation, the lack of pain, the extra energy, the ability to run around with my grandkids. I never had that focus in the past. It was always just, how much do I weigh? Great, my weight's down. And in many cases, with a lot of people, once they reach that goal, then it's like, well, I have nothing else to shoot for. Well, my goals are now so far out, I'll never really attain them because my goal is to die healthy. As odd as that sounds, I don't want to. I want to be Mrs. Freeze, a sweet old lady in my church growing up at 90 years old would say, "I'm going to the nursing home tomorrow to help out the old people." And she was talking about the 60 and 70-year-old people in the nursing home, and I laughed every single time. I'm like, "But she goes, I know." And I tell people, I want to be Mrs. Freeze.
Yeah.
And as I recall, she reached a little over 100 years old and, passed away at home. And she was a spry chicken. I mean, she would run circles around people.
Yeah. Well, I love that story because I did a webinar yesterday. I'm doing this program with Ben Greenfield for Keon health coaches. And our subject this week is on mindset and having that belief, and how you have that belief becomes, if you believe in something, you say it enough and it becomes a habit or it becomes true. And so, like my birthday's coming up and I've been saying I'm 35 for now 12 years. So it's the same thing. Like if I think I'm 35, I'm still 35.
I feel it. And I've also, back to the point of what helps me stick to it.
Yes.
I think twice. Actually, it's like, okay, I'm going to have something today. Once it was all day, and then once it was 2 days in a row. My body reminded me why I never wanted in there again. I mean, the intestinal inflammation, the joints exploded. I quote unquote gained 10 pounds in 2 days, and it took 2 weeks for that water retention to disappear. it was a very stark reminder that was stupid. And so I reminded myself, and I don't regret it, because now I can share that with other people. So I can say, look, this is what happens. I know. And encourage people, if you do something, pay attention. Notice what your body does, and don't be discouraged by it. Remind yourself, hey, this is what I'm trying to avoid. Yeah. So those 2 times have really helped me to stay on track.
Well, I was listening to something about, health. Another seminar podcast is listening about rate of return. Is it something, the benefits outweigh the risks? And so it's like drinking alcohol. If you read my book, Life is Not a Race, that's on Amazon, that I wrote a whole chapter of the bus, and I had alcohol, and because of my adrenal exhaustion, my liver wasn't working, and I was violently sick from drinking alcohol. So I was sick for a week, and that was 2013. In 5 years, I still don't want to drink over 2 glasses if I'm going to drink at all, because of this fear. And I think it is the same thing of like, if I eat that food, I'm going to feel horrible, or I'll get a headache from it right away. Or like you're saying, bloated stomach or inflammation. So your body's telling you, I can't process that. That's a negative impact on me. So I think that is a good example of the rate of return on investment, that if I take care of myself, my body will take care of me, and feed it the right foods that will give it energy. You're fueling your body at a cellular level.
Yep. And I think a lot of people they've always felt that way, so they think it's normal.
Yeah.
As a kid, I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and be like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, and sit there in pain for an hour.
Yeah. And
now I know that's not normal. And my kids will never understand that, because they're not going to eat the way I did. They're eating the way I do now, and boy, talk about a couple of bundles of energy. So, I always thought it was normal, and now I know better. And I think a lot of people have to get to that point also of understanding. Even with athletes, enough people I've read and listened to go, oh, you mean this inflammation is not? It's not because I'm pounding the pavement. It's the food I'm eating. And it's like, yeah, you're going to still have pain and inflammation. You're beating up your body, but you can eliminate a lot of it just by changing your eating habits.
And that is so true. And I think a lot of athletes think, oh, I'm exercising, I can eat whatever I want. And that's a huge mistake, because if you want to improve your performance, you have to pay attention to what you're putting in to fuel your body. And you're putting crap in, you're going to get crap out. And
you put a bad tank of gas in your car and go find out what happens.
Exactly.
And it'll continue to do that as it burns through it, even after a couple of good tanks of gas. Your body's the same way.
Yeah. So normal people get used to that crappy, those side effects, and think, oh, it's part of aging. And that's what nutritional therapy work. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can completely help you if you just do this or change that, or add these lifestyle factors. And I see that with my parents, or, in their late 77, and all their friends are all getting to that age that are having all these problems. Like, oh my gosh, we could just fix all that if you guys would change, but they're
just
not.
Just listen to me. Yeah.
No. Anyways, let's get on to what the keto barbecue and the keto chef is. Sure. Talk about that.
So that website came up to teach people the real simple ways to cook foods. And obviously I'm using my spices along with that. With that, it's trying to make videos and stuff, the joys of working full time and trying to get this up and running. So we're getting videos up, putting recipes out, and trying to teach people locally the same thing. So we're working on cooking classes, record those and put those up for people to see. And then also helping people on a one-on-one basis. Okay, this is how you do it. Here's a simple shopping list. Finding out what they like first, narrow things down a little bit and say, okay, get this, and this. And then each person's different. Our family in particular, we the night before pull something out of the freezer and cook it. We're relatively simple. It's either going to be chicken, hamburger, maybe a roast. And then we keep a couple of frozen vegetables or green beans, cauliflower, broccoli in the freezer. So it's microwave, cook it in a pan, throw it together, and we're done. It's not complex the way we cook. And showing others how, hey, it's not that hard. We can narrow things down, show you what you like and how to make it, even if you're not keto. For example, spaghetti squash is a great substitute to make spaghetti. And I never did it because I thought this is going to be too hard. And then my wife, who despised me when we got married because she did not know how to cook keto, she's like, well, I'll figure that out. Boy, crock pot's one of the greatest things ever. Mm-hmm. I mean, drop that in. It's ready to go come dinner time.
Yeah.
And it's to help others, whether they're on the weight loss journey to learn how to do it, or people such that are more active and so forth, realizing, I'm skinny fat. I need to do something about this, and showing them how to start shopping and cooking, preparing their meals, whether they do it like I do on a daily basis, or as my business manager does. He actually every Sunday he cooks his chicken, his turkey, his hamburger, throws it in the freezer in specific portions for the family. His meat's done the rest of the week. Mm-hmm. Takes one day and knocks it out, and then he just has to prep a vegetable every day for dinner.
Yes, and ideally, you get grass-fed, organic mm-hmm. vegetables, and reduce those toxins that we're putting in our body. So we're getting good source foods in mm-hmm. season, local foods.
Yep.
And learning, I just tell people, and this is why it's good to have you around, because if you just pick up a protein source, if it's
yep.
Animal, wild, fresh caught fish,
mm-hmm.
Some type of protein, and then
yep.
your fat's easy to do because we'll talk about that, and then vegetables, so organic, ideally non-starchy, and then it's not that difficult. It's mm-hmm. keep it simple, as you said, and just
yep.
put together meals. But I'm not a fancy chef. My husband is, and he
mm-hmm.
can throw together and figure out what spices to do. But
mm-hmm.
what are some of your top meals that are easy to do for its fall winter season? It's more warm foods. Mm-hmm. Maybe people have more of the crock pot type of foods. Yep. What are some easy meal ideas, or like your top 5 favorites?
Cauliflower soup. Instead of potato. It's basically, we use cauliflower, lots of heavy cream and cheeses. Literally throw it in the crock pot, set it on low, come home, and you're ready to go. Now, this depends on where you live in the country. I love putting unseasoned pork rinds on there. They're not always available all across the country, but because I grew up with I need a bunch of crackers on my soup. Mm-hmm. We do chili, but it'll be a beanless chili, so tomatoes. There's several marinara sauces. I know Rouse is a very popular one that people like to buy. Our Walmart carries another brand called Mazitas, which is a little less, and it's straight up tomatoes with a little bit of spices. So it is all natural in what is in there. Throw it in the crock pot with some ground beef. We'd like to use some breakfast sausage on occasion. A local store actually makes their own ground pork. So we buy that and throw that in there and just cook it up ahead of time, throw it in and let it simmer all day. We love roasts, get a bigger one. And then when it's done, there's lunch for the rest of the week. The kids can have roast beef with their lunches with some cheese or something like that. So we love doing a roast. And I found out actually from my parents, radishes work well instead of potatoes. I was surprised at that. They're like, no, mash them up, put some butter on them. You're fine. Salt and pepper. And I'm like, oh yeah, that really is good. And then we like to keep it simple with chicken thighs. So we'll season them and throw them in the oven as they are. And the nice thing is, again, change the seasoning, changes the flavor. We actually, I was on vacation and came up with a recipe because of what I had available. But it was chicken thighs in the crock pot, and we sprinkled some chipotle seasoning on there, cooked it, drained off the juices, just threw a can or two of green beans with a cream sauce, and then sprinkled some sweet paprika on top. And my wife was like, oh my, what did you do? It's like, yeah, it is good, isn't it? I didn't know what to expect. And we've actually prepared it for a keto class we did. And everybody that had it was like, where's this recipe again? What is this? And it was just the combination of the flavors. And it was throw in the crock pot and run. Yeah. A little bit of maintenance, an hour ahead of time. And that was it. Those are really what we do. The others would be hamburger in the pan, and then a little bit of cream, some cheese, and then whichever vegetable you want to throw in there to make a healthy hamburger helper, as I like to call it. grew up on that stuff, and of course I'll never touch it again. But that's what I always think of when I make a hamburger, green beans, and make a cream sauce with it, with adjusting the seasonings. And the beauty with the seasonings is it's not that hard. Take a whiff of it and you go, that smells good. Throw it on the hamburger and the beans. It'll taste good. Just don't overdo it. Fresh spices taste a whole lot better than what you're going to buy in the stores. Now, put in a little if you think you need more, then you can add more. But that's really what we're normally doing throughout the week.
I think people forget that spices expire. That
yes.
It's better just buy a little baggie that you can get from the bulk section, or get the little container. Not like my parents, I go to their house, I'm like, I've had this stuff for 10 years. Just I clean out and throw away everything in their fridge.
I'll admit, I'm guilty of that. And actually in our seasonings, there is a production date on the bottle, not an expiration date. Seasonings on average, after about 2 years, you should chuck them. Of course, I've had them, like you just said, for a lot longer than that in the past. But that's something when I got started doing the seasoning side of it, realized, okay, I don't know how long this stuff has been sitting at Walmart or wherever you go shopping. It just claims an expiration date, but that could have been 5 years after package. So no, we did that differently and said, okay, here's the package on packaged date. You've got 2 years. And ours are all just small shaker bottles, depending on the spice, 2 to 5 ounces. If you don't use that up in 2 years, then you probably should just not buy that particular one again. But we found several of them. We blow through them a whole lot faster than we ever expected.
So talk about what your seasonings are. You sent me some great ones that I'm like, again, I make everything blah and boring myself. So my husband can figure out which spice goes on what and make it taste good and add cream and cheese, which is the side note. It's really hard to go non-dairy because I'm reading this book, Dr. Tom O'Brien, and he's no sugar, no gluten, of course, and no dairy. And it's the dairy part's really challenging. So I try to do goat cheese or sheep cheese and get raw when possible, but I try to be careful on that, and then creamer. But so you're doing a lot of cream and your meats, and you like green beans, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. What type of spice you're making? Some like the crock pot foods. What are your spices and favorite ones?
Oh boy, that's like asking which is your favorite child. We use our garlic herb seasoning several times a week because it goes with almost anything. It adds great flavor to vegetables by itself. If you make hamburgers, it's a great spice for the hamburgers also. It goes well on pork and chicken. It adds a very fresh flavor to it with the garlic and the herbs, plus a little bit of, I believe, sesame seeds are in there. It's just a very bright and fresh flavor. We also just started, and this one's challenging my garlic herb, is our savory bagel seasoning. Is just tremendous. It's an onion, garlic, sesame, and poppy seed in there. Love it on my eggs for breakfast. Actually, I went to breakfast this morning with a friend of mine in town, and I took it with me. If I go out to eat for breakfast, it goes with me to go on my eggs. And that's actually one of our best sellers. People, my sister-in-law can't stop talking about it. She's like, that is the greatest stuff I've ever had.
Is that like to mimic the everything bagel? When the bagel has all the spices on, you're just taking what's put on a bagel. Yeah, it is the days when we used to eat bagels. Seasoning. Yep. Yeah, okay. It's to give you the bagel flavor without the bagel, I guess. Yeah. But it's good on your vegetables. My 5-year-old actually combined that with garlic herb when he made the green beans a couple days ago. But it's a very savory flavor. Again, back because it's so fresh, it really is almost a shock as to how flavorful they are. Since we do a lot of beef, our Select Chop House seasoning is a very good one. A friend of mine, his wife, until recently, always used barbecue sauce on her steak. And I asked him why he married her, but he let that go. And he cooked the steak with the Chop House seasoning. He said, this is the first time my wife never touched the barbecue sauce. He's like, she sprinkled a little more of this on and kept eating. So we use that quite often, especially since we like to use the grill quite a bit. On regular seasonings, we do use cinnamon quite a bit. The boys, even though
we do keep them as keto as possible. We'll give them a little bit of no sugar added applesauce in the morning, and we'll put that on top. I put a sprinkle in my coffee to add some flavor, and also it helps with insulin levels and so forth. Mm-hmm. So we do use the cinnamon a lot. And again, that's one of those, once we started using it, I could not believe the difference between that and what I was buying in the stores. A couple others are, since I do smoke a lot of meat, we use the Memphis rub a lot. It's got a little more spice to it. So depending on how much you use, if you overdo it, you notice it. Mm-hmm. But just enough to add the flavor. We use it on ribs quite a bit, which could be on the grill, a crock pot. It just gives a nice flavor to the meats.
So what if you're not a big animal meat eater? You do like lots of vegetables and salads and stuff with it?
Yep, they're great. That was also part of it. I realized that not just keto and carnivore and people that eat meats want no sugar. Vegans and vegetarians, perfect for anybody who just wants to eliminate sugar in their diets. So, I mean, the garlic herb seasoning is awesome on vegetables and salads. The savory bagel seasoning, again, is great for that. And even the more meat-oriented ones, such as a Memphis rub, if they're they still like some of those flavors, it'll work really well to give them that, some of those extra flavors just by putting it on their vegetables. Say they use tofu or something like that instead of actual meat. That'll actually suck up a lot of that flavor and give you that variety instead of, well, I'm having lettuce again, or if they make their own salad dressings. For example, the ranch seasoning, we started doing that recently because I don't need the seed oils in my diet, speaking of inflammation. So the ranch seasoning is another one that's great to sprinkle on vegetables and so forth, instead of buying those who knows what's in the ranch packets at the grocery store. Yeah,
bad stuff. So question is, did you grow up cooking on your own? Like, how do you learn all this?
Well, I don't know, 10 or 12 years old, I was given a cookbook for Christmas, kids cookbook. So started out making cookies and the little biscuits that came in a can and you pop them and they scare you half to death. We make little pizzas out of those. So I don't remember who gave me the cookbook, whether it was my parents or one of my grandparents. And so I started cooking early. That's really where my love of cooking in general came from. I'd always get up in the mornings and cook my breakfast. And it's interesting looking back at the stuff that I craved. It's because, well, my body needed it. I still chuckle that, when we made the nasty powdered macaroni and cheese, my brother and I would always fight over the butter if it didn't all melt. I get the chunk of butter. Well, why? Because your body needed it. That's why. Mm-hmm. And I lived on my own for several years before finally getting married, and got to cook for yourself. I didn't always. McDonald's is wonderful for adding pounds, but nothing else. But I did start early, and of course, when you really make it a point to switch your way of life, I didn't say I switched my diet. I switched my way of life. Because I already love to do it, it's okay, well, how can I do this and still have some of the foods that I love and enjoy? And in that process, realized, I just like to keep it simple. On occasion, I'll make something, okay, Thanksgiving's coming. I'll put out a Thanksgiving spread, and I'll tell you what, if you're non-keto and you want to come to my house for Thanksgiving, you'll be blown away. Yeah. That you walked out not having all the stuff that you think you have to have. And I've done it several times. We have friends over a lot, and they always leave saying, that's some of the best stuff we've ever had.
Exactly.
And I want to go, I know.
Yeah, I know. My husband does the same thing. People love coming over and having his meals because he can create these crazy meals, and it's all low carb, higher fat, and good source quality that you just have to be creative or keep it simple like you do. And just put together as a protein, fat, and a vegetable and make a meal out of it. That's good source. So next question is, creative cook service and having to teach people how to make this simple. meal planning and teaching people to prepare foods. So how do you go about doing that? And like, is that online, or can athletes that are learning how to change how they're eating? And you say what I say, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle change. And you can go cyclical. You don't have to be strict keto. For some people, they're exercising. I always say the main goal is to balance your blood sugar and avoid the insulin surges. So going lower carb, that you're teaching your body to burn fat. So you should have, test your blood sugar and your ketones, see how much you can eat. But some athletes are doing more endurance, can eat a little more carbohydrates. So with that, what can you do to help people, teach them how to cook and meal plan?
Sure. If it was an athlete, first thing I would want to find out is, are they currently training? Are they preparing for an event? So, everybody that was just training for the Ironman that you attended, don't start that during your training. Wait till you're off season. Again, you don't want to switch fuel sources in the middle of it. I've heard enough stories of athletes that have, I should switch this, and bam, middle of a baseball season, they switch, and it's like, okay, it took me 3 to 4 weeks. It almost threw me, I almost thought I was getting sick. It's like, no, you're working your body really hard while switching your diet. Wait till the off season is what I'd recommend first and foremost. From there, start off with about an hour phone consultation or video call to find out what they want, where they're at, to make sure that we would work together well. And then just put together a plan for them based upon what they want, what they like. Have a survey that they can fill out that really just lists what they're looking for, and walking them through that process. How long that'll be is dependent upon the client. Start out with at least 4 weeks. And then if they want to continue on with more help, we can extend that on a month-to-month basis from there. Same with somebody who's, again, trying to lose weight. And same thing. Okay, let's sit down, let's talk, see how we can work together, how I can help you out, and then put the plan together. The nice thing is, like I said, it is relatively simple. It's not hard. I like how you put it. It's your protein, your fat, and your vegetable. Put it together and eat. It is that simple. It's very similar to how Dr. Westman puts it. It's like, whatever protein you want, just eat it. Have your vegetables, and then a little bit of fat, and you're done. If it's not on the list, you don't touch it. People love to. Can I have? Okay, is it full of sugar? Yeah. No.
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 I do my 5-day jumpstart and a 30-day challenge, and the Holistic Method Manual is still on Amazon, has those programs in it, the 30-day program, and it has menu and just 5 meal ideas, and has a list of eat, moderate, avoid. And even when I coach people on it at my studio here at Bellevue, that people still ask, can I have this? Can I have that? I'm like, no, just eat what's on the list. Don't worry about what you cannot eat. Focus on
concentrate what you can have.
Yeah, don't worry about the no's, because that makes it negative. It makes it feel like you're dieting. Look at, all the amazing vegetables that taste so great, and the proteins and the fats. It's just people we're so messed up how we were raised, I think, of what is good, what is bad, and the whole fat phobia, because we were, I was same. That's why I do the podcast. We started with Fit, Fat, Fast. Is like, oh my God, fat's okay. Yep. So it's hard for a lot of people.
People see it as deprivation as part of the problem. Oh, I'm depriving myself of. No, you're not. You're giving yourself. I'll rephrase. No, you are depriving yourself. I am depriving myself of inflammation. I am depriving myself of intestinal distress. I am depriving myself of lack of sleep. I'm depriving myself of brain fog. There's deprivation, but not the deprivation of garbage.
Good stuff.
Again, turn around and go, well, when's the last time you actually said, yeah, I can have bacon anytime I want? Well, I haven't. There you go. You're not depriving yourself. You can have steaks and eggs and cheese in moderation. And all these things you've been told your whole life you can't have, enjoy them. Have fun and start living life.
Yeah. So hopefully people have listened to the other episodes we've done on digestion, because what I'm trying to, get out there as well is eat real foods and good source of protein, carbs, and fat. But when you're eating and how you're eating is the crucial part the next step. Like what you're eating is important, but how you're eating and how you're digesting and absorbing those nutrients are essential. And I think a lot of people are getting on this keto bandwagon because it's all over the place now. We've talked about it for years, and they're still eating in a stress state. They're not sitting, relaxed, and in the parasympathetic when they're eating, digesting their food. And a lot of times people need to sit and breathe, focus on just eating. Relax. And also a lot of people they're hypocaloric. So they need a stomach and HCl, betaine supplement and digestive enzymes, because if you're eating all this extra fat you're not used to, and you do a program like mine or someone else's that's a reset, 30-day reset, that you still need sometimes in nutritional therapy. We test it on people, see if they need it or not, but digestive enzymes, something for your bile, we use beta TCP from a company that helps break down the fat, and your stomach acid needs to be 1.5 to 3.0 pH scale to actually break the proteins down. That's where most of the protein digestion starts. So many people, I think they make this switch, but that's what my goal is, to split up the topics on this podcast to be the holistic method that we're talking about, all of it, because really to burn fat is not just changing what we're eating and learning how to cook today, but it's also digestion and absorption, gut health. So,
or if you're like my mom had her gallbladder removed. I mean, that has a lot to do with digesting fats. And that's not there, so you may need the appropriate supplements from a more naturopathic doctor or somebody like yourself that can say, hey, this is going to help you along in your path. Just changing the way you eat is a step in the right direction, but that's not always going to be the only thing that needs to be done. I mean, you abuse your body so long, it may take other things to get it going again.
Yeah. In a month and a few weeks, we'll have a new episode with Megaspore Biotic, that if you guys, listeners, are interested in learning how to repair your gut, and if you have leaky gut, which most everybody has some level of it, but it's a fascinating new research that they've had at last few years of Megaspore Biotic, how a total transformation for your gut. So leaky gut, leaky brain, inflammation of your body. So changing what you eat, but sometimes we have other things going on that still don't get better by after changing eat. Then I would see naturopath, nutritional therapist, and someone that can help you not just continue on. So if you're not getting results by what you're doing with your diet, then let's work on the other things to get to the root cause of
and out of alignment. That's where I've got a couple of different people that if people get to that point, it's like, okay, you're not losing weight, you're not losing inches. Okay, you need to go talk to a doctor who agrees with a keto-based lifestyle like Dr. Wrigley, and say, here, you can run the test, you can do everything. There are a lot of doctors out there, and you don't have to go see them. You can live in Seattle, and they can live here in North Carolina, and it can be all done on the internet.
Yep, I know.
Which is the beauty of the way of technology today.
Yeah, I know. We're all going online. That's what I'm doing next year, is just doing coaching online and meeting people in person that live in the area or go, travel. So lastly, are you going to the low carb cruise in next June with Jimmy Moore?
I'm working on it. We're hoping to. So the fun part is paying for it.
I know you do have to pay.
I do. The cruise itself, we're hoping to. I'm probably going to be actually a vendor at Low Carb Denver in March. Dr. Gerber. So we're that one we're definitely shooting for. And I know Adapt, Dr. Westman's group, has a couple coming up in February. We're hoping to be at those also. And
what's it called? Adapt.
Adapt, ADAPT. It's one of the companies that Dr. Westman helped found to offer low carb treat. What's that?
Is that with Chris Kresser?
That could be the Heal Clinics possibly, but that was with a gentleman and his wife out of actually South Africa. Clint, I forget his last name, but they're low carb bars and supplements, not supplements, but just little things to get you going throughout the day to hold you over. But they're also putting on conferences all across the country to try to keep them in some of the smaller towns, because they're always in the big areas. They want to keep it a little smaller where people can come that may not be able to go to Houston or a cruise or something like that. And just to go and talk to people and say, hey, here's something else that can help you along your way. I'll never tell anybody you have to use my stuff to do keto, because you don't. I didn't start this to force something on you. It's a help. I use the word supplement loosely. It's to supplement your journey, to help you along the way. But we're hoping to get to several conferences next year, to get out to meet people and to get our face out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that one-to-one that really makes a difference. You can see my website, but well, who's this?
Yeah.
But when you sit down and talk to somebody, it makes a big difference.
Well, it's even if people watch us on YouTube, why I prefer doing the video podcast, because I like to look at you instead of a blank screen when I talk to someone. So it is creating a relationship in person or video conference call. But, you can find us on YouTube and see us, but most people listen. But for me, the benefit is more for me, not for our YouTube followers.
and everybody's different. I'm a person who would rather read something, but I realize most people aren't that way. They want a video, they want a YouTube or something they can click on and watch. Of course, maybe that's because I have kids and it's easier to read something than to hear, can I see? So, but everyone's different. That's why, like you said, the different platforms, video, audio, and
gotta be everywhere. Gotta do it all and not get stressed out doing it. So let's wrap up of where people can find you. Let's give the website and how people can get help from you.
For the Creative Keto Cook, it's simply creativeketocook.com. We have holiday coaching plans to help you through the holidays on there, along with just keto coaching plans. For the seasonings, it is selectseasonings.com, a little shorter than the name of the company, which is Select Savory Seasonings. I didn't want to have somebody type that in every time. So just creativeketocook.com, selectseasonings.com. Social media, if you just search for Creative Keto Cook, that's where most of the work is done, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. There's just no E in creative because it was too long to type out Creative Keto Cook for Twitter. But I'm on there quite a bit also. It's one of the platforms I never thought I'd use, but in the keto space, it is such a great resource to learn things.
It is.
I was blown away that I would ever use it and then see how you can help people through something so interesting, to say the least. But Creative Keto Cook is most of our social media. Good.
Well, thanks for sharing your story and taking the leap to do something on your own. Starting up your own business is huge, and congratulations for that, because I know it's stressful and it's a lot of work. And I know as an entrepreneur myself, you got to keep calm and carry on.
Yep.
And
that is true.
Because we all have our passion, and that's why I ask you, what's your passion and your purpose, how you're creating impact. And the challenge is to manage our stress as we do this, because it's a lot of work.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much for your time today. And we look forward to spicing up our meals and learning how to cook some new stuff this fall with your savory seasonings and meal ideas.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thanks for listening to the Whole Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at wholeathletepodcast.com. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.